Buying a condo in Chicago. This video, I'm going to talk about everything I wish I would have known. It's going to be pretty full encompassing. I think a lot of good information. I love real estate and I love the details around real estate. So in my purchasing process, I was really to the details, understanding everything about how to buy a place in Chicago because it's a lot different than other states. And me being a new person to state of Illinois, new person to Chicago full time, buying a place, it's just a whole different ballgame. And it is completely a second job. Buying a place in Chicago, very difficult, very competitive. And there's just a lot of different information that you need to know to make sure you're making a smart purchase and you're not making a purchase that's gonna, hinder you down the road. Number one thing I want to talk about buying versus renting. There's nothing wrong ever with renting. Renting always makes more sense in the short term, especially with high interest rates, which we have right now around 6.8 to 7. It's a lot of money out of pocket for a payment down, and then it's a lot of money per each month as a mortgage payment. So renting, no problem. Don't ever feel bad if you're just like, it didn't work out. Now I got to rent. Great, rent. There's nothing wrong with renting. It keeps your flexibility up. That's the best thing about renting. The cool thing about buying is buying your dream place that you absolutely love. All right, so that's number one. Let's jump into it though. In terms of locations in Chicago, it's probably a separate video, but the bottom line is location has to do with personality. So certain people are going to love certain locations. So for me even to offer what I think is the best place to live, like in Chicago full time or buy in Chicago, is kind of ridiculous because it's all personality. It's all a period of time in the phase that you're going through in life. If you have a small young family, you want to live in the city, it probably makes more sense to live in X area versus if you're a single person, maybe you want to live in Y area. Personally, I love Old Town because you're a 7-minute walk from the lake, you're a 5-minute walk to the train, which is 15 minutes up, 25-minute walk to the river. You're just kind of in the middle of it all. West Loop's right there, Fulton Market, boom. Everything is just right at your fingertips, attached to Lincoln Park. That's my favorite area, but for you, it could be completely something different. Write down what you want and explore the neighborhoods on foot. All right? Make sure before you buy a place, you live the experience. I'm going to talk about a couple things to think about, but make sure you are literally at this around this area every single hour of the day to get a vibe for what would it actually be like to live here. Because when you buy a place, it gets awful serious. When you rent a place, hey, in a year you can move. All right, here's a couple things to consider. Number one, locations to your favorite things in Chicago. I recommend being close to at least one of your favorite things. If you're gonna buy a place, if you can just walk out your door and almost be next to or in the exact area of one of your favorite things to experience in Chicago, that makes Chicago really fun. If you buy a place, somewhere and then you love to do everything over here, well, now you have a stress to always traverse across the city. So if you're buying a place, you're gonna be here full time, find out what you love about Chicago and buy a place in that area. I liked Old Town because I love Wall Street, but I also love the ability to go to all the things I mentioned earlier in the video. All right, distance walking to the grocery store. This is so important. You want to figure out how long does it take you to walk to a grocery store. Schools, how good are the schools? Even if you don't have kids, all right, it's important to understand if you did have kids and you were going to live here for many years, how good are the school systems? Do they rank high or low? Something to always be evaluating anytime, anywhere you buy real estate. All right, parking. This is huge, okay? This is like the stress of Chicago. Are you gonna have a place where parking is it zoned for that street, or can anyone in the world park on that street? Do you have a parking garage? Are you gonna have a, like right over here, there's no garage in this building next to me, but they have its own parking lot. So what is the vibe of the parking? Because the worst thing is you have to drive somewhere and now you have to spend another 20, 30 minutes to find parking. Now you got to walk, a quarter of a mile back to your place with groceries. That makes Chicago utterly exhausting. So where are you parking? If you can, pay for parking. Elevators. Are there elevators in the building? Walking up 3 flights of stairs every single day over a course of X amount of years is going to get frustrating. Yeah, you're going to be staying in shape, which is great. But at the same time, elevators are a key. You can always work out on the track. You don't need to be working out, carrying, boxes upstairs every day of your life. Air conditioning. Does the place have air conditioning? Pretty self-explanatory. Views. All right. Does your place have a view? Not that it really matters. Some great places don't Some great places don't have any views. I wanted a view. I was moving to the city. I wanted some type of backdrop that felt like Chicago. I got the train, I got Sears, it's a good shot of Old Town Park. Things are cool here. But yeah, views. Maybe you have a dream view. Maybe your dream view is above the river. Maybe your dream view is Wrigley Field. Maybe your dream view is the lake. What is your dream view? See if you can try to find that. All right, street noise. How loud is the ambiance of Chicago around you? For instance, I have the train, but I actually like the train. It kind of reminds me like I'm in Chicago, I'm living the dream. But some places, maybe you're next to some nightclub. Well, that might not be a good option. So street noise, very important. And lastly, distance away from your friends. That's as important because the problem with it is like when your friends start to move away and they're not in that quick, 5-10 minute walk, you're not going to see them as much. And you're probably going to make new friends. So buying a place away from your friends may actually make your life not as fun and worse. So consider distance away from friends. All right, so now let's get to the nitty-gritty of the professional services in terms of the actual contract side and the people you're going to need to interact with to buy a place. Number one, real estate agents. Real estate agents are super important, especially in Chicago. A good real estate agent will find your dream place and help you get your dream place. A bad real estate agent will 100% of the time make you lose out on your dream place. This market, from what I've learned and from what I've experienced, is extremely competitive. Most good places in Chicago, they don't exist. Like they exist for like one day on the market. If not, they're literally bought off market. So you as a buyer, this is why this is a full-time job, because you're always on the ball of some place coming up, having to make a quick decision, seeing a place, because in 2 days this is going to hit market, and when it hits market, you're going to have to compete with like 10 other people. All right, so having a good real estate agent, so important. And you want a person who is a grinder, who doesn't give excuses, who looks out for your best interest. Another trait you want to look for is someone who's not scared of confrontation, because in the Chicago real estate market, there's going to be a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of different factors, and I'll even get to those here in a second, where your real estate agent's really going to need to be able to stand their ground, negotiate, and think smart, and honestly consult you on things too. Like there's times for me where I'm like, I want this, but my real estate agent's like, we can't do that because it's going to push the buyer over the edge. You got to let it go. And so that's also super important. And lastly, my real estate agent in Chicago was Anastasia. I'll put her link in the bio. She's incredible. She's really good. Trust me, I'm tough, and I wanted the best of the best because I knew to get this place here, I was going to need the best of the best. And so I will put her link in, contact her, reach out to her, but I'm telling you right now, she's really damn good. All right, let's jump into loan officer. Okay, loan officer or a bank or a credit union, someone to help you apply and receive a loan, someone to help you lock your interest rate in. Okay, couple things here. Number one, you want to get two people, and you want to get two people because loan officers, they all have these fees. Okay, you'll read the stat sheet, and this is something new like over the last 25 years probably. They have all these fees, and then you have your loan, right? If you have two people you're negotiating and working with, number one, you can lock a rate with one of them, and if the rate drops, then you can lock a rate with the other one. And then you can just choose the other one because the rate is lower. Or if you have both of them and the rate pretty much stays the same, now you have the choice to negotiate their additional fees against each other, which lowers the price. One thing too that you should evaluate is if you should have your loan officer boost your credit score. And if they don't know how to boost your credit score, then get a new loan officer because they obviously don't know what they're doing. But it's pretty normal these days to essentially have one credit score pretty low, and that's usually because it's tied to a certain credit card, because a month's statement back, for some reason you went on a trip and now there's more utilization on your credit card. So then you have to just pay that credit card down, then it boosts that last credit score, and then you get a better rate. So check that out as well as a pro tip. One other tip here is ask your loan officer if they can not waive the appraisal. There's some type of thing where the appraisal doesn't need to get done because it's already going to get approved automatically by a bank. And that will save you $500 because to do an appraisal, I believe, costs you $500 cash out of pocket. So find out if you can essentially have that waived where it's already approved. That'll save you $500. Once again, real estate around here, so expensive. Inspector. An inspector could save you upwards of $100,000. So get a really good inspector. Or one thing back to the real estate agent, if you have a really good real estate agent, said person normally has really good people around them. Great people only like to work with great people because bad person costs a great person a deal. All right, so find a great inspector. I'm spacing on my inspector's name. I will put his name below, but he was utterly incredible. Attention to detail, ability to communicate, knowledge of the landscape of condos, condominiums, etc. Definitely, you can check out him below. I'll put that below. Sorry, I'm forgetting the name, but yeah, he was absolutely incredible, and he definitely caught things that I wouldn't even been able to notice. Obviously, looking at the big stuff, but it's the minute details, how to test something, how to maintain something. A great inspector worth the 350 bucks that it takes to have one. And lastly, a lawyer for attorney review. In Chicago, due to the complexity of HOAs, tenants, giant buildings, issues with a home, high taxes, there's a thing called attorney review, and that's where you're going to have a lawyer on your side to help you swift through any type of legal matter through the contract conversation or any type of additional negotiations that have to occur, whether it's a holding escrow account because a tenant lives here and you want to hold money back. So when the tenant moves out and there's destruction on the property, that you can make sure you have money to pull from to fix the issue because the person selling to you was the one choosing the renters. Okay, things like that. Having a great lawyer, once again, is going to be so important. You just need a great team. I mean, I'm pretty much a broken record. You need a great team. I will link below the lawyer I would recommend as well. I had a really damn good team. All right, that was the number one thing. All right, now let's jump into key items to review in terms of you making sure that this place, other than just like you enjoying the vibe of the place, is a really good property. All right, I'm just gonna kind of list them off. Number one, HOA rules. What are the HOA rules? If you have a dog specifically, what are the dog rules? Are these rules going to be in your way? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Those are things to evaluate. It's also good to understand like the rules all in all. Can you put something on your balcony? Do you have a balcony? I don't know. You get my point. All right, what are the reserves, meaning what are the cash funds that they've been building year after year just in case a major project comes around? Are they going to make an assessment towards you or can they pull from their reserves? So what are the reserves? Last 2 years of the financial statements, I like to see who are people paying their HOA dues on time. That was the one thing I want to look at, just overall budget of the building. Renter versus owner occupied rate. I want to know how many people in the building own versus rent. Do they allow renters? I think when you get a mortgage, you do need to live in the building if it's going to be labeled as your primary residency for at least a year, from my understanding. But yeah, in general, are you going to be living around a bunch of renters, which, nothing wrong with renters, but theoretically, if everyone's an owner, the building's probably going to have less wear and tear than if renters, okay? What is the HOA monthly bill? What does the HOA monthly bill include? Does it include water? Does it include trash? Does it include XYZ? Something really important. And then lastly, you need to get the like monthly meetings, and it may be like quarterly meetings with the lead president of the HOA to understand is there any future projects, and don't be scared to even reach out to your leader of the HOA and have a conversation, really dive deep into, how is the building, how is the building's health. All right, elevator health, kind of a hard thing to look into, quite frankly, but just figuring out is there a maintenance schedule, which should be in the budget for the elevators, how long are the elevators, riding the elevators, kind of get a feel for the elevators. And lastly, review any zoning announcements in terms of are there going to be buildings built around you? Because that is a consideration that can affect view. That's a consideration that can affect noise for a couple years for you. So I wouldn't want to buy a building and then have some giant building built directly next to me. And that is a little bit out of control, but you can at least see if there's any news about a building popping up. Now let's review steps in the purchasing process. Number one, finding a place, going to see it, and deciding this is a purchase I want to be making with my life, with my earnings, with my hard work, etc. From there, you make an offer. The offer is then accepted. Then you have what's called first round earnest money. Where I'm from in Indiana, we only have like one round of earnest money. In Illinois and Chicago specifically, they have 2 rounds of earnest money. So you have first round of earnest money. I believe it's anywhere from 1 to 5% of the total purchase price. So you, in the contract that you're going to send over for approval, you're going to say how much is in the first round, how much is in the second round. But traditionally, it's anywhere between 1 and 5% of the total purchase price of the condo, house, etc., the place. And then you have the attorney review period, which I discussed. After the attorney review period, Then you have your second round of earnest money. There's usually a week or two because this happens roughly in like a whole month's time. So the attorney review period normally lasts for a week to a week and a half, depending. It could be longer. So then usually you close within 30 days. So normally there's a couple weeks. So you give your second round of earnest money and then you just chill out. And then the day of closing, you have final walkthrough where you're gonna go come see the place. And then from there, you go to close. Another thing that's super annoying about Illinois that I just want to talk about is the welcome to Chicago tax and the leaving Chicago tax. And that's a percent. I don't know the percent off my head, but that's a percent of the purchase price. And it's comes at your closing. So for me, it was like a couple $1,000s that I had to pay as an additional tax to the city of Chicago. That does not happen elsewhere, and it is kind of nonsense. And I believe when you sell your place, it's even a little bit higher. So something to always factor in terms of buying a place in Chicago. So damn expensive, kind of exhausting, and very expensive. But what a place to live, what a location, how many connections. I mean, it's an endless, amazing city. It's one of the greatest cities in the entire world. But nonetheless, there's some nonsense to it. The Chicago, welcome to Chicago tax, absolutely one of them. And then let's talk about insurance, because insurance is such an important part of buying a home or buying a condo. There's two things that I learned that I just want to stress to you guys that you might want to consider adding. They are additional costs, but I think they could be worthwhile to you. Number one is called water backup, and that is anytime you normal like house insurance will come with like essentially flooding insurance, meaning like if your sink just busts going out, then like that'll come with it, right? But there's a thing called water backup, and that's when sewage comes in from the pipes up to your place and out through your place. So check that out as an additional kind of water insurance to make sure your place is going to be okay. It's rather expensive, and I feel like I might not even described it correctly. So just look up what water backup is. And then lastly, loss assessment. All right, this is something I really think you should add. Anytime that there's an HOA assessment, right, they're going to ask for you to pull money out of your bank account to pay the assessment for like a new roof or whatever the hell your HOA or building needs. Especially if they don't have reserves, or maybe they're going to pull half of it out of reserves and half out of assessment to keep the reserves. Okay, there's insurance called loss assessment. Therefore, if there are reserves, you can pay like, let's just say like $1,500 because you have a loss assessment policy, and then your insurance will give you 10 grand to put towards the HOA assessment. So that's a really freaking good thing to think about. Lastly, I just want to talk about finding a place. And finding a place is rather difficult in Chicago. Like I keep mentioning, great places, it doesn't really matter your how much money you have to spend. If you have the money to spend on a one bed, one bath, there's only going to be so many great one bed, one baths. So you have to be on the ball. Two bed, two baths, there's only going to be so many great for what you want, the exact details of what you want. Two bed, two baths even out there. All right, three bed. So what I always say is just be on the ball, be on the grind, be talking to your real estate agent, make sure you're signed up for like the internal portal so you can see everything that arises, and just be at it every single day. And if you do that, you'll probably manifest your dream place. And when you see it, you'll fall in love with it. You'll know. I went and saw like, I don't know, 20 places, and then I saw this place. I'm like, I told my real estate agent, I was like, this is it. We got to get it. Like, we got to figure out a way to get this place. And so keep going at it, keep trying. You'll find your place. If you miss out on a place, don't worry about it, because there's probably something better. That's how I think. I think that's how you should think, because that's the truth. City of Abundance, Chicago, a lot of different places. When you see it, you'll know. One thing I will say, it is a lot of effort, it is a lot of work, but there's nothing cooler than walking into a place, especially after being a renter, to see and be like, wow, this is like this is my place, this is my home, this is a vibe. Right? I can paint the walls, I can hang up anything I want. It feels like home. I'm in the city, I'm living my city dream. Very, very cool experience. But once again, absolutely nothing wrong with renting. I could easily make the argument that renting is a smarter investment. You can use that money that you would have to put down as a down payment in different areas, XYZ, that may be a smarter play long term. But at the end of the day, you only live once. You got to get a place. So if you find a place you love and you got the money, pull the trigger, work hard, get the negotiation done, hire the right people, do your due diligence on HOA reviewing, do your due diligence on the day-to-day living, where you're going to park, Where's the grocery store? How much effort does it take you to live your day-to-day life? Make sure those things are in order, because if you are living in a way that's efficient, it makes Chicago way more fun because you're not having to traverse the city all the damn time. You're already where you kind of want to be. I think that's the key. All right, guys, thanks for checking out today's video. Check out the people I recommend below. Once again, I really think they can help you out. Please consider subscribing. Thanks again. We'll talk soon. Thanks.